I think it's about helping women, just like you said, especially women of a certain age. I've found that seems to be the area of focus for me, maybe because I am of a certain age, but I love helping women. I'm a mom of 3 daughters. I'm trying to set an example and show them what's available and what's possible and just create a new, structure for women and what's expected of women and what's available to women.
I love that. And your podcast, What the Fuck Happened to My Body, also the name of your website. And then is there a book on the horizon by the same name?
There is.
Oh my gosh. So many exciting things. I just love that. That just drew me in immediately. I think all of us mothers and just women as we age experience that of what the fuck happened to my body. So
exactly.
So good.
And who's talking about it? Who's talking about it in a way that makes us feel that it's normalized, that we're all shifting, that our bodies are designed to shift and change? What are the different shifts and changes we can expect? And to have somebody with your smarts and your heart and empathy for that whole situation and to keep it real. I love too, the title of it, like what the fuck happened to my body? What the fuck? You know, I'm asking those questions now. My girlfriends are asking those questions. And we're starting as a culture to shift a little. Like when you see Oprah and Michelle talking about menopause, when you see people in the royal family talking about menopause, you know that a shift is happening in the culture. The culture is ready for it. And yet we still need to keep pushing and still keep normalizing.
We're girlfriends of a certain age. In midlife, we got a lot to say. So let's get loud. We won't fade away, 'cause we're girlfriends of a certain age.
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome to another episode of Girlfriends of a Certain Age. I'm going to say hi to co-host Flachay.
Hi, I love being tethered.
Oh, yes.
We look like conjoined twins.
We are tethered today. It is a one headphone situation. We totally planned that. Oh, yeah. This would be great.
No,
sure.
Something weird is happening between us, but basically my brain fog had me forget my headphones. And my girl was like, we could just share mine. So this is getting intimate, ladies. So welcome to that.
Welcome to that. And we are so excited today. We have a special guest. She is amazeballs. We're so excited to share her with our wonderful audience of Girlfriends of a Certain Age. So Natalie Garay, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you.
My goodness. We are so happy that you're here with us. Natalie does incredible things. And so Natalie, if you wouldn't mind, I will give you your formal introduction. So Natalie Garay is fucking tired of hearing about women not receiving the resources needed to properly care for their mind and body after having kids, no matter how long ago that was. To help ease their pain, she has created the Natalie Garay Method, a holistic practice specializing in pelvic floor, C-section, and diastasis recti rehabilitation. Natalie is also the founder and CEO of You Need They're Happy, the makers of therapeutic mists featuring homeopathic flower essences and organic essential oils. Their most popular product is Calm the Fuck Down. She holds a BA in dance from UCSB, is a master certified Pilates instructor, and master flower essence therapist. Welcome, Natalie. I love your bio. Yes.
Oh, what a mouthful.
Love it, love it.
Could it be any longer?
No, it's wonderful. I'm a voice coach. I love reading aloud people's things. It's delightful.
Also, a lot of what we're about is highlighting the women of our age, the women, because we're all getting loud. And so for us to take some time to highlight you and your achievements and what you do and how you serve and how you help and who you help and serve, girlfriends of a certain age, it was exciting.
Yeah.
I love putting you up, like shining this light on you.
Yes. We are all about queens and doing that for one another. So that's your formal intro. Would you mind for our girlfriends just sharing a little bit about what makes you tick? What's your grab bag explanation about what you do, Natalie?
I think it's about helping women, just like you said, especially women of a certain age. I've found that seems to be the area of focus for me, maybe because I am of a certain age, but I love helping women. I'm a mom of 3 daughters. I'm trying to set an example and show them what's available and what's possible and just create a new, I don't know, structure for women and what's expected of women and what's available to women.
I love that. And your podcast, What the Fuck Happened to My Body, also the name of your website. And then is there a book on the horizon by the same name?
There is.
Oh my gosh. So many exciting things. I just love that. That just drew me in immediately. I think all of us mothers and just women as we age experience that of what the fuck happened to my body. So
exactly.
So good.
And who's talking about it? Who's talking about it in a way that makes us feel that it's normalized, that we're all shifting, that our bodies are designed to shift and change? What are the different shifts and changes we can expect? And to have somebody with your smarts and your heart and empathy for that whole situation and to keep it real. I love too the title of it, like, what the fuck happened to my body? What the fuck? You know, I'm asking those questions now. My girlfriends are asking those questions. And we're starting as a culture to shift a little. Like when you see Oprah and Michelle talking about menopause, when you see people in the royal family talking about menopause, you know that a shift is happening in the culture. The culture is ready for it. And yet we still need to keep pushing and still keep normalizing.
Yes, absolutely. It's true. There is a shift. There's a very subtle shift happening. I see it too. But all of these things that women are experiencing, first they were being not heard and dismissed. And now they're somewhat being heard, but there's not enough clear information about it. Also, we're also taught that at a certain age, we basically should start to think of the end. We should basically start tying up our sneakers and hanging them up. But nope, I'm not fucking done. I'm still trying to get shit done. So it's what's happening to my body? What can I do about it to kind of, whether it's slow it down or stop it or reverse it, so that I can continue to be strong. And I kind of look at it as like I'm training for life. I'm 46. Yes. I'm still training for life. I'm an athlete trying to figure out what I can still do when I'm 80, 90, 100 years old. So that's what my passion is. That's what my focus is. And it all started with my own experience of being a mom of 3. I was solo. I was a dancer. And I went on bed rest for 2 months, and that went from being completely active and relatively strong to nothing, and just losing a lot of my functionality and my abilities with my body, which was very new to me. And then who can do any type of mothering in that kind of situation? So I'm finding that it takes away. I'm sure you guys may have experienced some sort of that when you aren't feeling all that great, whether it's physically or emotionally or whatever it is. It takes away from you trying to be a great community member, mother, partner, business owner. So these are the things I'm trying to highlight, whether in my podcast or my book or just in my higher learning. I just went back to school as well. So
what are you doing in your higher learning?
I am currently taking a bunch of science classes so that I'm applying to this naturopathic doctor program here in San Diego at Bastyr University.
Wonderful. Oh, I love that. That speaks to me. I know that's speaking to our listeners, because what you said about the idea that we just hang our sneakers up, we unfortunately live in this society that is so binary, right? It's like you're on, you're off, you're hot, you're not, you're able, you're not. And we know that's BS, right? We know that that's BS, but we really have to push against that. And I do think there's a lot of messaging, especially for women aging, which is, oh, just disappear, just go away, which is why we were inspired for our pod. The same idea of, oh, hell no, we are here and we're going to get louder. We're going to amplify women's voices about this process because we don't want to fade away. We're important. We matter. And so you're saying that. I think that's a big shift that so many women struggle with. What can I do with my body? What is my functionality? How do I keep it working for myself? And do I have permission to try to train for a marathon? Do I have permission to still go out and dance? And I think we just have a lot of narratives for ourselves. I know I suffered from a few athletic injuries and I felt so down on myself because it's like 40s, my body is just like, I pulled a hamstring, I twisted an ankle. Oh man, I'm just done. And I did. I had a little bit of that defeatist feeling. All right, I guess I'm just gonna walk with my walking sticks at a snail's pace now.
Yeah. And then we want to kind of blame it on age, or a lot of things are blamed on age, but that's not necessarily the case. I danced a certain level at a certain age, but I stopped. So that doesn't mean I can go back to that immediately. I have to build up to it, but it's not completely impossible. I could still, if I wanted to, train at a certain level and do, dance at a certain level as well. So it's not something where we go, okay, well, I guess it's just shit happens when I'm 46. So here we go. Where's my rocking chair?
Right. I'm not ready for a rocking chair. I'm not anywhere near ready for a rocking chair.
Hell to the no. I mean, I love a good rocking chair.
Right. It was like when I want it.
When I want it.
Right.
And I want to take my naps and I want to do my things and I want to have a certain pace. Mm-hmm. But I sure as hell don't want to be told by anyone else, just go have a seat, honey.
Right.
Go over there, dear. And
you don't belong here.
You don't belong here. Take your tired self elsewhere. But I want it to be on my own terms. I think that's the thing that I'm really rooting into. Mm-hmm. And that I see that we're speaking to our girlfriends about is like wanting that permission and that self-permission. Yes. I wanted to share something with you. And I think I hinted at this in my first email to you. Will you please be on my podcast? Because you did this episode and we'll link it down below. And it was so healing for me. So I had my last baby 8 years ago and I had a planned C-section. Mm-hmm. And you have this episode talking about the nuts and bolts of what happens. And if we don't take care of ourselves. And I had a healing. I remember I cried. I was sitting alone at my desk, like having the tears. And I just thought, oh, Natalie gets it. And it's even in your bio that no matter how long ago you had that baby, there could still be stuff going on for you. And what the fuck is that? And what can be done? So I wanted to just thank you to your face. Thank you for that episode. And I'm going to link it below so girlfriends can go hear it too, because you gave me a piece of myself back. I felt like some part of me reached back to that. I think I still have some incomplete feelings and experiences, maybe even psychically and spiritually back to those moments. But I scooped up some more of myself in that episode where you talked about it and you just normalized it. And you talked about how so many women have it. And I realized, I think it's what the tears were. I felt so alone. And I had my doctor just be like, yeah, you'll just get used to it.
Oh my gosh. Nothing infuriates me more than that. The image I always get is they kind of just smack you on the back and send you on your way and be like, okay, good luck. You'll figure it out, which we end up having to do basically, whether, we're limping along through it. But yeah, that's kind of the image I get. And thank you for saying that. I'm glad that was helpful because that's what I'm hoping to be is helpful with all of these things that I've discovered and in my experience with having my private Pilates clients for the last 20 years and hearing their stories and their experiences. And a lot of them are kind of what you said, which is that's normal. There's nothing you can do about it. Get used to it. That's what happens when you're a mom. Oh, you had 3 kids. Well, and I've heard that so many times over and over and over again when women come in about concerns over their body, whether it's aches, whether it's feeling not like themselves. I hear that a lot. I just don't feel like myself. Then it's dismissed. Well, you have 3 kids. You're busy. You're a busy mom. And I just call bullshit on all of it. It just pisses me off.
Well, that's so helpful to hear that there absolutely are restorative options. Yeah. What are some of the most common things you're helping restore in women? Is it the bladder and the abdominal issues? Are those kind of the main ones? Or what do you find you're mostly treating women for? Working with.
Yeah. I do a lot of rehabilitative work with women experiencing pelvic floor weakness. So pelvic floor weakness can be a woman who's had a vaginal delivery or a C-section, because the weight of the baby during pregnancy is going to push on the muscles that are holding the bladder and the pelvic organs. And so that continued pressure puts weight on the pelvic floor, which weakens, and the weakened pelvic floor muscles start to open, and then urine starts to leak. And that can be as little as when you have any laughing, sneezing, or coughing, jumping, that type of stuff, or urge incontinence, where you just all of a sudden you have to go and you don't make it. But yeah, it wasn't until one of my many clients who shared about it mentioned a story of going to a trampoline park with her kids. Oh. And she got on the trampoline because she thought, they look like they're having so much fun. I'm going to join them. She got on her first jump. She completely emptied her bladder and she'd driven a distance. So I don't think she brought extra clothes or anything like that. So that was her day. And I remember her telling me the story and we kind of laughed about it. And then I was like, what the fuck? I've heard this story too many times. This is happening to too many women. And so that's when I branched off and created my own private studio where that was my focus, was pelvic floor weakness, C-section rehabilitation, because that was my experience. I had 2 C-sections within 19 months apart, but also had a 2-month bed rest stint. So that completely atrophied my body. And so going from being a dancer and strong and active to then not being able to even walk after my surgery was really, really bizarre. And then diastasis recti is the other one I see, which is the abdominal wall separation. And that just happens to pregnant people just during pregnancy, because your abdominals are stretched so far that line down the middle, which is fascia, called the linea alba, separates. And a lot of women are told, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it, or surgery is the only way to fix it. And
I have a question. Underneath my navel, I have a second little opening now. Is that what that is?
It is. Yeah. And you can test for it. So sometimes they appear underneath the belly button, just above the belly button, or even a little bit higher between the ribs. And some women, you just can't miss it because you start to come up, like whether you're coming off the couch or the bed or whatever, and it just kind of looks like little aliens popping out to say hello. And that's just the abdominals opening and whatever's out inside coming out. But it's fixable. You can eliminate it or you can reduce it quite significantly without surgery.
So besides that little alien popping out when you're getting up, what are the other symptoms? What else might girlfriends notice if they have that?
Well, a lot of things, because it basically means that your abdominals are not working at optimal function. They're not fully functioning. And so you'll experience poor posture. You'll experience neck pain, because when your posture is poor, your neck's going to jet forward, and that's going to put pressure on your cervical spine and then on your lumbar spine, your lower spine. So a lot of people will feel that really low. It will also shift in the pelvis, which when we're pregnant anyway, our body's shifting, our hips are expanding for delivery, and then they kind of start to come back. I don't know that they necessarily come back all the way.
Oh, mine sure didn't. My pant size definitely did not. I could just feel in my hips, like the way the pants fit. It never went all the way back. I definitely felt that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll change things. So your hips will be up. So maybe you start to experience some sciatic pain, and you've got that nerve pinched, and then you start to feel it down your spine. So your abs play your abs play a huge role in pelvic support, in your incontinence, pelvic floor weakness, posture, supporting the spine. So there's a chain of events that could take place if your abs aren't helping. In my book, I describe it as Sheila the spine. And Sheila the spine is like the person who you would do. So you did a group project in school, and there was always one person who did all the work. And Sheila the spine is that person, and she's pissed because she's having to hold up your whole entire fucking body. She's having to hold it all up and do all the work, do extra work, because your abdominals are not putting in their work.
So Natalie, I have a question about that. I love that idea of Sheila the spine, because Sheila the spine has been talking to me a bit more lately. I went through menopause 2 years ago, and my abs feel weaker than before menopause. And I'm also getting a really lovely new layer of squishiness that I didn't have before. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm getting more back pain. And I'm like, ding, 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 Sheila the spine is talking to me. I do yoga. I do some incorporated Pilates stuff. Like I do bridge poses. I do dead bug. I try to do the things. I do planks. I feel in my own little way, I'm doing all the good things. And I feel still Sheila the spine she's talking to me. In fact, at a party, we were hosting a party the other weekend. Sheila the spine was like, we're done. And my back went out in the middle of my own freaking party. And then I had to get down on the couch and be like, hey, y'all, come talk with me. I've got an ice pack.
Oh my gosh. What was the feeling? Where did it feel?
Lumbar spine, lower right side lumbar spine. I bent down literally to get Tupperware.
Yeah. That's usually.
And it went zing.
Yeah. Ooh, it hit a nerve. So I've heard people say, like, I just went to brush my teeth one morning and all of a sudden my back went out. And that is not a sudden thing. Obviously, it's something of wear and tear, whatever that is, just the repetitive motions, weak muscles, that sort of thing. So my guess for you would be probably a little bit more hip support. You're probably working more of your big butt muscles, your glute maximus muscles, and the ones that get often ignored and are a little bit more challenging to exercise are the smaller outer ones. So the minimus and medius, and those come with crab walks, sidestepping, or was it old Jane Fonda workout, the clam series?
Yes.
That sort of
Yes.
stuff.
Okay.
So using a resistance band, you can put it above the knees, crouch down a little bit, make sure your abs are supporting you, and then just do some abductor work. Yeah, abductor.
Thank you for that very selfish question, but I'm hopeful that it will resonate with a lot of people, because
sure
more
it
people
will.
are talking about back pain than that haven't experienced it earlier in their lives.
Yes. And well, menopause is a hormone shift, and hormones will weaken the muscles. So, and then we also start to lose muscle mass. So probably a little
Right.
bit more resistance training for women of a certain age is important. I know it's important, and for women of a certain age, a lot more resistance training, which will keep everything in place as far as the hips go. And then that'll keep them from getting wonky and hitting those nerves.
And I saw on your website, you have some different cool videos. How could people access the Pilates videos? How does that work if we wanted to try some of your workouts?
Yeah, I have a video library. The videos range from, I want to say 10 minutes to 45 minutes in length, and you can rent or purchase them individually or as a bundle. I believe we just set that up recently so that you could do it as a bundle if you wanted to. And they're all fantastic for anybody and everybody, which I always say Pilates in general is available to anybody and everybody because it can be modified for anything. I've worked with pregnant women, spine fusions, hip replacements, knee surgeries, all of it. And anything and everything can be modified. And I will talk you through that in the video. And I'll say, if you have back pain and this is pissing your back off and it's talking to you, stop and do it this way. So I can't say enough about Pilates, but I think it's the best way for anybody, whether you're just starting out or you've been working out for the longest. What I found is that a different muscle fiber that you're working, as opposed to, say, weight training in the gym, which isn't to say that you shouldn't do that, but you're getting different muscles, the deeper, slower twitch fiber muscles, which help build a stronger foundation, which is what we're going to need as we continue to age and go through hormone shifts. And going back to feeling things in our body now, after having kids, whether it was 10, 15, 20 years later, is because we didn't rehabilitate then. Nobody told us we needed to do certain things to rehabilitate then.
Exactly.
So now 20 years later, we're like, what the fuck's happening? It's because I'm old and I'm going through menopause. Well, not necessarily. I mean, it's a sum of all the events or the lack of events that took place after having kids or going through pregnancy. So no fear, girls. We can do it. There's things we can still do.
I love that.
I do. It's very empowering that there's so much more we can do and that we can go looking for it. And so you're an incredible resource for girlfriends to be able to start exploring that. I'm curious, what have we not asked about? What do you want to shout out to girlfriends about what the fuck is happening with our bodies that we haven't asked you about?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, so I've heard you say a couple times now, Felicia, your brain fog is real. And I hear you and I get that. And yes, it is real. And there's something we can do about it. So I will touch on that. So because we do at a certain age start to experience brain fog, even after kids, I can't say just at a certain age. It's after we have kids because there's a hormone shift. It's in our late 30s is because there's a hormone shift. It's in our mid 40s because there's a hormone shift. So that along with oxygen to the brain. So whether we're not getting enough exercise with pumping oxygen to the brain, or obviously food is huge and has always been an important factor, which is, well, as exercise. These two things keep coming up over and over again throughout our lifetimes, but it's not something I think a lot of us take as seriously as it should be. So I just wanted to say, I'm learning a lot more about the brain. That was one of the reasons why I went back to school, is because my mother experienced dementia for many years and passed about almost 3 years ago now. And so I became extremely fascinated with the brain and what we can do earlier to prevent certain things. When we get the dementia diagnosis, it's not something that just comes on suddenly. It's something that's developed over the course of 10, 20 years. So it's something we need to look at now. And one of my daughters, I've 3 daughters. I don't know if I mentioned that. They're adults now. The twins are 20. My youngest is 19.
Oh.
And one of them experienced a mental health crisis. And so that has just stacked onto my passion for learning about the brain, and along with teaching women about what we can do to prevent cognitive decline sooner than later.
Wow. Huge, such important information.
It really is.
It truly, truly is.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this defeatist feeling about all those things you mentioned, mental health, dementia, this kind of, oh, well, here I go.
It's true.
So you said diet, you said getting more oxygen. What were the other things?
Yeah.
I'm
and
trying
hormones.
And
so hormone balancing, just making sure, because this is another thing I hear a lot of women of a certain age talk about or try to talk about with their doctor and get dismissed.
Oh, yeah.
Because one thing I hear a lot of my clients or women in general say is, well, I tried to ask my doctor about hormones and checking my hormones, but he said, because they shift so many times throughout the day, it's hard to tell. Bullshit. You need to do a certain test that will show you what your hormones are doing. They do shift a lot throughout the day, but that doesn't mean that you can't do certain tests to show you what's going on. And if you're completely low in certain hormones, you're going to feel depressed. You're going to have lack of focus. You're going to be forgetful.
I think fatigue is also a huge issue. Yes. It's like caffeine actually, I notice has more sensitivity as we age, but then we feel more tired and then our sleep can get imbalanced. So I think the whole tired fatigue thing is huge too.
Yeah, absolutely. And even another thing I learned recently was joint pain. Joint pain is due to a lack of low hormones of a certain type. So the more I learn about that specifically, the more I'll obviously share about it and be able to share about it. But it's still something that I'm learning and I'm excited to learn about and how the body functions. And so I will hope to be at the university in the fall of 24. I'll be the class of 2029. I'll be 51 when I graduate.
Yes! Bring it. Woo! We will be sending you good vibes, or we'll be at your graduation party, whatever that looks like. That sounds amazing. You're such an important resource for women. And we look at all of these different stages we've discussed when you've perhaps given birth and you're sent home with this brand new being, but there's not really messaging. How does the woman herself restore? And then going into midlife, and then even thinking about senior aging dementia. You are covering such a full spectrum about things that, as you, to your point, doctors usually just either dismiss. There isn't enough research. We interviewed another person around menopause, Michelle Dwyer, who just said that a lot of gynecologists get about 1 hour of training around menopause, which is so we see that we need people like you going back to get your smart brain stuff, because not enough other people are doing it in mainstream medicine. So I just can't say enough great things about you for doing that. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I appreciate
what a resource.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot. And one doctor I've been following recently, Dr. Peter Attia, came out with a great book called Outlive. And he talks about the very minimal amount of nutrition that they learn about in med school. And then, like you said, with gynecologists, OBGYNs, they learn very little about hormones, menopause, even post-baby rehabilitation. So there's some that are trying to teach themselves or learn other resources to help their patients. But their scope is basically pregnancy and then delivering the baby. But Dr. Peter Attia mentions this concept that I love called Medicine 3.0. And I think that's where we're going. And that's definitely where I want to be, is that Medicine 3.0.
I love it. And the more we request that kind of care, the more doctors will have to listen up. So feedback from everybody will really help.
Absolutely. You were talking about celebrating Natalie's graduation. And I was thinking about your book. When you go on your book tour, girl, will you please come back?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let us geek out with you about your book.
I'd love to.
When is it coming out? What's the timeline on that?
Probably early next year. It's been pushed a little bit because I started it before deciding to go to school. And then once I hit school, I had to put everything else to the side.
Sure.
My dancer artistic brain is switching to chemistry and physics and biology. And I'm just, is another area of what the fuck for me. So I can't do anything else but focus on that right now. So hopefully early next year, but I would love to come back and share about it. Thank you for.
Oh my gosh, we would love that. We could put that in our book club for girlfriends and read it and have a fun book club with you. That would be delightful for the women over on our Substack. That would be really fun.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well,
Did we find out how girlfriends can find out about Natalie, then play our game?
100%.
Okay. How can girlfriends learn more about you, Natalie?
Definitely come to my website. Natalie says WTF, which is also my Instagram handle. Natalie says WTF. And I'm more than happy to answer questions. If you have questions about your diastasis or pelvic floor, whatever, I'll send you the resources. So definitely find me there. That's where I hang out the most.
Perfect.
We've got all the links below. So girlfriends, go check it out. Go find Natalie. Ask her some questions. Because I think the more I talk about it, the less crazy I feel, or the less alone, the less isolated, the more hopeful I feel that there are opportunities for me to take charge of my own health and well-being and across every age and stage. That's what I want for our girlfriends.
That's what I want for our girlfriends, and that's what I want for your daughters. I want women growing up in a world where they feel empowered, where their body doesn't feel taboo, their body doesn't feel dismissed, where their body is taken as seriously as any other kind of body. So,
I just got chills.
Yes.
I got a little preachy there, but
Because it needs to be said. And you and I have boys. We're just raising men. So I think
which is a whole other ball we're working on. We're working on raising some open-minded men.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
But I love that you are on the forefront of welcoming that in for your girls and for all of our daughters. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that.
For saying that.
Natalie, you're delightful. I could be with you here all day picking your brain and asking you questions, but I won't be that selfish. But thank you very much for answering some direct questions, and hopefully it helped our other girlfriends listening. We do love to play a game with our guests. Are you game for a game?
I'm game for a game.
All right. So we ask you a question, which is, what are you not giving a shit about right now in your life that you used to give way too much of a shit about?
I think it would have to be I have this, phrase that I say sometimes, hashtag keep it weird. I think it's just being and saying silly stuff, which I think I tend to do more so around my sister, because I just try to be as stupid as I can just to get her reaction, because sometimes she'll say, "Oh my God, you're so stupid." And that's all I need. And that's the end goal. So I think it's just caring about being silly or saying stupid shit or dancing in public, which I love to do, to embarrass her or my kids. It's interesting. I've probably heard this, and you've probably heard this over the years, that we just don't care as much as we get older. And a lot of the things that we cared about then, it just doesn't matter anymore.
And all the time we wasted caring about it, and no one else was probably noticing. That's the other thing that gets
nobody
me.
gives a shit. No one gives a shit. They're worried about themselves.
Right. We're also absorbed in our own lives. No one is paying attention. My mom learned this great term from one of her friends, but it was like, we're all in our own movies. We're all the main character in our own movies. So what feels like such a big deal, it ain't really a big deal. So I love that. I love that. Well, you are definitely on the same level with us. We are really not giving a shit. We are embarrassing our sons on the daily, and I love it. I love it. I'm like, you want to see me do another dance? You want to see me bust out another 80s dance? Here we go. Oh,
you don't like it when mom sings out loud and does some moves at Trader Joe's?
Right.
Well, then there's more. There's more coming.
Right. And that Running Man BS, that is not the real Running Man. I'll have you know. Keeping it real with Kid and Play.
Yeah, there you go. Which is funny, because I remember my dad doing that too. The aisles of racks and Macy's, just all of a sudden just dancing. And I could have been more mortified. What in the world are you doing? And now, of course,
now you get it. You're like, because my body wants to move, and it wants to move right now. And that music is speaking to me. I'm just I'm gonna get my groove on.
Because by our age, music starts being the jams from our youth.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, oh no.
When you hear like Purple Rain as music, you're like, oh, you just like get into, you're like, that's my jam. It's a weird version, but I can jam to this.
All of a sudden you've got elevator music of to the window, to the wall, and you're like,
right. You're in Safeway, like, what the hell am I hearing right now? I love it.
That is us.
That is
Girlfriends
us.
of a certain age.
Oh, indeed. Oh,
Natalie, this was so fun. You just totally made our day. Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to meet you, Jessica, and Lachey, to see you again. Thank you.
absolutely. Well, girlfriends, take full advantage of all of the incredible offerings from Natalie. It sounds amazing. I'm going to go right over there to your videos and start buying me some of those.
Buying me up. I love
Buying
it.
me up some.
And I know exactly what you mean.
You can buy you up some of them too.
That's the commercial. We're sticking to it. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Stay weird.
Stay weird,
Stay
sweetie.
Thank you so much. This was delightful. Thank you for hanging out with us today on Girlfriends of a Certain Age. This episode was produced by Jessica Neighbor at Impact Vocal Coaching and Lachey Hesh at The Busy Mom.
This podcast jingle was written and performed by Jessica Neighbor. Do you have a girlfriend who needs to hear this message? Share this episode with her. She will love you forever.
If you enjoyed today's talk, join us in our private community on Substack at Girlfriends of a Certain Age.
You can help us reach even more girlfriends when you take 30 seconds to subscribe and rate our channel on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube so you never miss another episode.
Stay tuned for more episodes where we discuss more hot topics for all of you, our girlfriends living our best lives together.